I was fortunate to be one of that first batch of Americans to come and teach, and so I was assigned by the Foreign Experts Bureau, so its own version of Fun Pei, Da Shanghai. So maybe the Chinese would say it's yuan fun, right? In the case of President Clinton's visit then, so I had a very big role in terms of designing the visit. So you may not remember, but this is one of the longest presidential visits to any one city. It was almost for 10 days. President Clinton started in Xi'an, then he went to Beijing, and then Shanghai, and then to Guilin. And so each city had a theme. Because spending 10 days in a country is unusual, and to what extent did we leave him with a better understanding of China? Because part of what you hope to achieve is not just strengthen the personal relationship between the two leaders, which in this case we definitely were able to do, but also to leave in the case of the American president, sort of a better understanding of what China is all about, so that when he faces bigger decisions about China, he's able to do so with a deeper knowledge and a stronger foundation of how China operates, which is why the different dimensions of the visit, I believe, were helpful in terms of giving President Clinton a stronger appreciation of China's history and what's important to the Chinese people. So I was in the embassy sort of lobby, and I would wait for the student group to arrive, and then I walked out to the gate and received their petition. Over the course of maybe an hour or so, and the mood of the crowd got uglier and uglier with each school that came by. Because the first group was relatively calm and polite, and they yelled at me and gave me sort of a document, and so I listened to them and accepted it, and then went back into the embassy. But then with the second, the third, the fourth, you can feel the anger rising and the temperature getting higher as well. I mean, there's always a certain amount of that, but at the end of the day, both governments are looking to get past the problem, because there are always larger issues at stake, and that provides the ability to reach a settlement. And even in cases like the deaths of the Chinese diplomats, there are more relevant legal precedents in other parts of the world that serve as some basis for discussion. I guess one lesson from these crises in the past is that it is important for each side to understand what actually has happened. So of course, each side is staffed by officials from the respective governments, and they'll be sending information up through the chain of command, but that information might have a bias. It might be incorrect, and even if, let's say, a Chinese leader speaking to an American leader, I mean, each leader is going to have their own point of view on something, but by listening to the other side, it can help to expose what might be a bias in your own assumptions and could lead to a better outcome. As a business chamber, so we don't actually endorse tariffs as a solution. We do feel that the focus of attention needs to be on the market access issues in these systemic areas. If we look at the activities of U.S. companies in China, I mean, there are many companies who are tremendously successful. In fact, the majority of U.S. companies are successful here in China, and by successful, I mean they enjoy, they're profitable, their businesses are expanding, they still see business opportunities, they're still looking to invest here, and they feel that this is an important market for them for many years to come, which only underscores the importance of somehow trying to address the trade difficulties between the two governments, because there's a lot at stake for U.S. companies, and I would argue a lot at stake for both the American and Chinese peoples in terms of benefiting from the complementarity of the two economies. In the short term, I would say that there's a fairly high level of anxiety about what we're in for over the next year or so, because of the tariffs from both governments and those tensions. But over the long term, I believe the companies still believe that there are significant opportunities here. They have committed a lot of time and resources to understanding China and finding ways to be successful in this market. In most cases they have been, so they do want to continue to be here. So for me, of course, I hope for closer and better relations between the United States and China. I do believe that this is in the interests of the global community. It's certainly in the interests of my domestic harmony in terms of for me at home, but I do believe that the Americans and Chinese do actually have a natural affinity for each other. So I'm optimistic about the future and hope that we can have as strong a relationship as possible.